Hi, I'm Emily. I'm a third-year student at the University of Waterloo, and I'm currently studying science and business with a specialization in biology. I knew when I was in high school that I enjoyed science and I also enjoyed business through the extracurricular activities that I did and through the few business courses that I took. And so I wasn't really ready to choose one and make a decision on what path I wanted to go on. The University of Waterloo is the only school that offers science and business in a single degree, where you get to choose your specialization in science, whether it be in biology, chemistry, physics, biochemistry, whatever it may be. There's a couple of others, but yeah, and then you get a general overview of all the business courses, which is what I was looking for as well. So it just seemed like a really good fit. And the other reason why I chose this program is because I knew that any program that I wanted to do, I wanted to have a co-op aspect. I think that co-op is definitely an invaluable experience where you get to graduate with over a year of work experience in the real world. And so the fact that with the programs at University of Waterloo, you can apply for the co-op stream right when you're doing your applications in grade 12 on the platform. And if you get accepted into the program, you also get accepted into your co-op, pending that you have all the marks and everything to go with it. And I would say that since I've been in it, I've really enjoyed the program. It's definitely a little bit competitive, but there's also a really great sense of team because you do a lot of group work in your science and business workshops, and it's definitely a really great experience. So if you're one of those people who are looking for a way to combine both disciplines and you're not really sure which path you want to go down, definitely say it's a good option to look into. Because you're in that science aspect, you have your lecture courses, but you also have labs. Your workload for the lab component is going to look a lot different than it will for your lecture component. And both of those aspects will look a lot different than your workload and how you prepare and study for your business courses. So as an example, the science and business workshops, which are mandatory for every science and business student to take, those are primarily based on group work and your presentations and that kind of thing, and with no final exam. You are going to have to prepare a little bit differently for that course because you're going to be going to your group meetings and spending time like getting your slides together and putting your presentation together, as opposed to your science courses where you might have, a midterm, 2 midterms, and a final exam where you have to study and know the material for. And even between the different sciences, I know you have to study differently. So I think that first year is definitely an opportunity where you will learn how to study. Sadly, probably through trial and error. That's how it was for me. But it's not impossible. You definitely can adapt, and I think that's one of the main traits that you need to be successful in this program specifically, is being adaptable, being able to work in a team, but also independently. That's really important. And the ability to think critically, because especially in the science and business workshops, they're giving you a lot of case studies or real life scenarios where you have to work together in your team to kind of come up with a solution and that kind of thing. There's also not a right answer on how you should study, whether you memorize things on flashcards and regurgitate them that way, or you write out your notes. It really depends on the course and your learning style. And I think that through your experience in your courses in the first semester and even the second semester or first year, you'll figure it out very quickly. So I would say that the type of content that's covered in the program is kind of dependent on the type of specialization that you have. The biology specialization, the courses and the content that's covered in that will be a little bit different than the content that's covered in an earth sciences specialization. But in first year, it's generally all the same. So you'll have a introductory chemistry, so Chem 120, Chem 123, and likely the lab component to that as well, where that's just kind of like an overview of high school chemistry and grade 12, and going a little bit more in depth. You'll have a introductory business course. I believe it's introduction to business in North America. And then you'll also have your introductory calculus, your science and business workshops. So in first year, it's generally all the same, but as you move along into the upper year courses, you don't get a lot of selection. Most of it is chosen for you unless you have chosen a general specialization where you kind of get to make your own. But if you were in a biology specialization, most of your electives would be biology and they had to be a bio course code. I would definitely say that although grades are important and it's important that you meet those minimum standards that are required, which in this case I believe is a low 80s average, grades aren't everything, and they definitely look at way more about you than your transcript and your average and your overall GPA. The University of Waterloo, when you apply, you have to also submit an AIF, which is an additional information form. If I could give any piece of advice, put a lot of time and effort into your AIF. That is what definitely helps you stand out from other applicants, and that's a good place where you get to talk about all the additional extracurricular activities that you've done, anything else that you've been a part of, sports teams, leadership roles, anything like that will kind of help you stand out and let them get to know you a little bit better. If you're someone who is worried because you have a low 80 average and you're worried that's not good enough, if you have that AIF and you've done a lot of cool things and you have a lot of accomplishments, I definitely think that you shouldn't write it off. You still have a good chance. In terms of figuring out and giving suggestions on what courses you should and shouldn't take in high school, it really depends if you know the type of specialization that you want to go into. So for instance, if you're looking for that biology specialization, start taking bio courses in high school and get that kind of experience under your belt, because when you go into university, you'll have that prior knowledge and it might be a little bit easier. There's definitely hard and easy courses in university. For me personally, organic chemistry was a killer course. It was definitely one that I struggled with and had to work really hard at, but again, it's very dependent on the person. If you really enjoy chemistry and that's one of your strong suits, could be a completely different experience for you. Same with calculus. I know that was something that I struggled along with a lot of other people, but there's also people who excel at that. I think the best piece of advice that I can give to you is just stay true to yourself and, take the courses that you're interested in. And, there's probably going to be a couple courses that don't necessarily fit your interest and might be a bit of a struggle, but work hard regardless and get through it. They still count towards your average, so try to get through it as best as you can, and usually the outcome is okay. University of Waterloo is a little bit different in the way that they do their course registration. It's not like a first come, first serve kind of basis, so it's a little bit more relaxed in that sense. You get your course selection period where you can input the courses that you're looking to take, and then once that period ends, they kind of figure out on their end the demand for the courses. They figure out the schedule. They let you know after that period's complete and they've finished all that whether or not you've been accepted into the course. So I lived in Village 1 in a single room and I really enjoyed it. I got to meet a lot of new people that were a lot of the girls that were living on the floor with me that I still keep in contact with, while still, having that meal plan and not having to cook my own meals and stuff like that. So that was a really cool experience. And once you get to know more people in your classes and stuff like that, you kind of find out that they're also living in the same area that you are if they are in residence, and so kind of gives you an opportunity to hang out with a whole bunch of new people and have some really fun experiences. Housing beyond campus, there's lots of different ways that you can find it. One of the best ways that I've had success with, if you're looking for say like a sublet or a lease takeover, is through the different Facebook groups specifically meant for students in the Waterloo area who are looking for housing. So definitely check those out if you're looking for off-campus housing options. University is, in my opinion, definitely more than just the academic experience. I think that it's important to also include, that social experience in there to maintain positive mental health. The party culture at Waterloo, it's not obvious. I think it's definitely something that you kind of have to seek out more if you're interested in it, but it's not non-existent. It is there, and Laurier is just down the street too. The areas on campus that are kind of like popular study places, the Student Life Center is definitely a popular place to go for, social time, but as well as studying. Davis Center building, that has the library. The basement has the group study area, so there's always a lot of people in there. I think one of my favorite areas is the rock garden outside. So yeah, definitely lots of different places that you can check out on campus and lots of different areas. I would say to try not to compare yourself as much. Comparison to other people is not helpful, it's just hurtful. And so your strong suits and the things that you excel at will likely look very different than even another person in the same program and same specialization as you. Everyone has different courses that they excel at, and everyone has different courses that they struggle at too. Comparing yourself is really easy, but it's not beneficial. And the second piece of advice that I would like to give to myself is that mental health is so important. And giving yourself that time for self-care and maybe taking a couple hours on the weekend, or on if you have a break in your schedule where you can take some time without dropping some balls in the air. It's really important to do that, and surrounding yourself with like-minded people who are positive is really, really great, and definitely something that helped me get through a lot of the tough times. You live and you learn, and university is a great experience to learn all of those things and get to know yourself better. So good luck with your application process if you're currently going through one, or if you're looking for more information because you're trying to figure out what path you should take. I really hope that this information was insightful and helpful.